today's lesson we'll be covering a section called graph interpretations, really. And in exams, a lot of learners leave marks here because really obviously you're confused as to what they need to do. So hopefully this will be the masterclass of how to really never get them wrong, and I'll be guiding you step by step. So in these questions, what you need to know first things foremost, you'll be given two graphs f and g, you're given the equations of them, and the question says determine the values of x for which, meaning that you'll be using x values to answer all of these questions. So it's always wise to find all the x values. So the x values we need to find is the x value for a, the x value for the b, and also the x value for d. So imagine the x value of d will be like a line that passes there. Let me use a slimmer line. Imagine the x value of d is a line that passes through d, and the x value for c, imagine it's a line that passes through c. So we need to find these x values. So we need to find the x value for d, what d is, and we need to also find the x value for c. So to find the x value of a and b, pretty simple. We're going to use the graph of f. A and b are the x-intercepts at point a and b. So we're going to be using the equation y is equal to 2x minus 6x minus 20, and we'll be finding the x-intercept. And to find the x-intercept, we need to equate y to 0, which will be 2x squared minus 6x minus 20 equals to 0, and we divide throughout by 2, which will be negative 3 minus 10 is equals to 0, and the factors of 10, that which you add or subtract, that will give us negative 3, that which you multiply, that will give us negative 10, it will be x and x, and it will be negative 5 and positive 2, and we know that x will be equals to 5, and x will be equals to negative 2. Now we need to really locate where 5 is and where 2 is. So we can visually see that a lies on the left hand side of the axis, meaning that the value for a will be negative 2, and we can see that b lies on the right hand side, therefore it will be 5. Let's go ahead and find the x for d, and really d is nothing more than the axis of symmetry of the graph of f, and the axis of symmetry is found using the equation y is equals to minus b over 2a, and we know that our b value from there is negative 6 over 2 times a, our a value is 2, so we have 6 over 4, which will give us 3 over 2. So we know that the x value there for d will be 3 over 2. So we need to continue and find the x value for c. And how do you find the x value for c? X value for c is what we call the axis of symmetry, the graph of f and the graph of g, meaning that we have to equate the graph of f of x and the graph of g of x, which will be 2x squared minus 6x minus 20 is equals to minus 2x minus 4. Then we bring everything to one side of the equation, which will be minus 6x. 2x will become positive 2 minus 20 plus 4 equals to 0, which will be 2x squared minus 6 plus 2 give us negative 4x minus 20 plus 4 give us negative 16 is equals to 0. So we divide everything by 2. We have negative 2 minus 8 is equals to 0, and the factors of 8, that which you add or multiply, that will give you negative 2, that which you multiply, that will give you negative 8. It will be negative 4 plus 2, so we know that x is equals to 4, or x is equals to negative 2. So we see that c lies on the right hand side, so we can see that obviously c will be what? Have an x value of 4. So we can go ahead and write the x value of c there, which will be 4. Now that we have all the x values that we need, we can start really breaking down really the idea or the fundamentals of answering these questions. So what you need to visually have in your mind or visually visualize, really try and visualize that at all these points that we calculated, view them as sections or areas. What do I mean by sections or areas? Meaning that we can go ahead and label them. We can say anything on the left hand side of A, let's view it as area A, section A. Anything between coordinate of A and D, let's label it section B. Anything between really 3/2 and B, let's label it section, call it section C, and section D will be on the right hand side of B. So we're just ignoring this small section there. For now, we're just ignoring it, really. Or rather, let's go ahead and label it. Let's not be stingy. Let's call it section C and section D and section E. So we'll be referring to section A, B, C, D, and E when you're answering these questions. So section A, when you say section A, all the values on the left hand side of -2, section B between -2 and 3/2, section C between 3/2 and 4, section D between 4 and 5, and section E anything more than 5. So the first question we are asked here, we are asked for where is f of x greater than 0? So I really like to demystify really math into a common language, right? When they say greater, what are they meaning? Asking where is f of x above the x axis. What is f? F is the parabola, right? Where is f above? So when we're reading graphs in maths, we always read them from the left hand side to the right hand side. So from the left hand side, you can see this graph comes somewhere from -infinity and then it intersects at A, right? But when it intersects at A, it goes below, and then it intersects at B again, then it comes above again. So the area where the graph is above the x-axis is actually on the left hand side of A. You can represent that mathematically and say it's at x is less than -2, meaning that it's on the left hand side of A, and also is on the right hand side of B, because at B, that's when it comes from the bottom, it comes to the top, meaning that it will be x is greater than 5, meaning that on the left hand side of -2, that's where we find really this graph that's above, and also on the right hand side of 5. Those are the only two areas where the graph of f is above the x-axis. So really we can represent this answer neatly to be x is greater than 5, and we said x is less than -2, so say x is less than -2. So those are the two options of how really to represent our answer. So we can go to the second question, which really follows on the first question. Now we are asked where is f of x less than 0. Common language, less than 0 means below the x-axis. Where is our graph of f below the x-axis? Where is it under the x-axis? So we can see that our graph will be below the x-axis from A all the way to B. So we can see that it lies between -2 and 5, meaning that it includes area B, C, and D. Meaning that how do we represent that mathematically? Mathematically, the answer would be, we're saying that it's on the right hand side of -2, so it will be greater than -2, because all the values on the right hand side of -2 are greater, and it will be on the left hand side of B or 5, meaning that x will be less than 5. So we can represent this by saying x is less than 5, and we said x is greater than -2, so x will be greater than -2, or in this instance we can say x is an element of soft brackets -2 and 5, because it's between these two values. So we can go to the third question, which says, so we've done the first question and the second question. We're about to do the third question. Where is f of x equals to g of x? Where are they equal? Right? Where are they equal? They intersect at A and they also intersect at C. But what are the x values? They're only looking for x values. It will be x is equals to -2, and we know that x is equals to 4 as well. And that's easy. And we move on to number 4. Number 4 is asking us something very interesting. He's asking us, where is f of x greater? Remember, greater in common language means above. So where is f of x? Instead of saying greater, you can just say above g of x. Where is f of x above g of x? So remember that g of x is our straight line, right? G of x is nothing more than our straight line. So where is f of x above g of x? So f of x, remember, from the left hand side, area A, we can see on area A, we can see that the parabola is above while the straight line is below. But at point A, they intersect, they're equal, meaning that none is above the other, they're equal. But on the right hand side of point A, on area B and area C, we can see that the straight line is above and the parabola is below, meaning that G is above what? F. So we can see in this area, we can see that G is greater than F because it's above. But on this area, we can see that F is above or is greater than G because F, this graph at the top, and G is at the bottom. So we can see area B and area C, we can see that really from this area here, this whole area, you can see that the graph of G is above the graph of F. But we're looking for the area where the parabola is above the graph of the straight line, which is area A. But if we continue, we see that at C they are equal, but on the right hand side from C we can see that the parabola goes on top and really the graph of G is below. So in this whole area we can see the graph of F starts being greater than the graph of G for area D and area E. So which x values are we going to use? We're going to use the x value of -2. We're going to say it's on the left hand side of -2, which is area A. X is less than -2. And also we're going to use the x value of 4 because at C, on the right hand side of C, the graph of F really is greater than the graph of G. So we're going to say x is greater than 4, of which this can be represented as x is greater than 4, and we said x is less than -2, so x will be less than -2, and you can represent your answer in that way as well. So let's move on to the next question. So the next question really is similar to the question we just did. Now really they're just trying to really play a bit of mind games. What I mean by mind games is that they're giving you the same question, but they're asking it in a very, really almost similar way. So this is 5. They're asking us where is f of x greater or equals to g of x. The only thing they changed is that including the equals to sign. Here there's no equals to sign, or in the previous question there is no equals to sign there, but they're including the equals to sign there. So our answer does not change. The only thing that changes is that really in our answer we need to include equals to signs because it will be the same areas where f of g is greater. The only difference is that we are including the points where they intersect. That's the only difference. So it means we can move on to question number 6. So question number 6 is asking us where is the graph of f less than the graph of g, and when you see less than, always remember below. Where is the graph of f below the graph of g? Meaning that where is the parabola below the graph of g? The parabola below the graph of g. Remember the parabola from the left hand side is above in section A, but at A they are equal, but at section B you can see that the straight line, the graph of G, is above and the parabola is below, meaning that we're looking for this area here. And how do we represent that area? The small area over there where the graph of F is below and the graph of G is above. We're going to use the value of -2 and we're going to use the value of 4, because remember we're only using x values. So we're going to say these values are on the right hand side of -2, so we're going to say x is greater than -2, and it's on the left hand side of 4, so we're going to say x is less than 4. And really we can combine the solutions and say x is less than 4 and say x is greater than -2, and in this case we can say x is an element of -2 and 4, and we only use this notation when it lies in between the two values, really. And that will be the answer for number 6. So for number 7, again, they're trying to throw another curveball at us. We know that we're not going to succumb to that, because number 6 and number 7 are almost the same. The only difference is that question number 7 has equals to, meaning that we have to, in our solutions, include the equals to sign, meaning that the solution will be identically the same but with the equals to sign. And really that will be our answers. So for this answer it will be x is an element of, we won't use soft brackets, we will use solid brackets because it includes those values. And we would have answered all the 7 questions, and I hope this clears any ambiguity. The next lesson I'll be doing more complex examples of this.